Hello, you're watching Bumble and Kimber. Two members of the cricketing community have had more jobs within the sport than it's possible to list in this intro. Lots to talk about on our regular show. We're going to be talking about Indian cricket, Australian cricket, English cricket. We've got some one-offs. Who would you choose, Glenn McGrath or Jasprit Bumrah? You can choose one. Find out who the boys select in this week's Bumble and Kimber. Did you watch the 5-match ODI series between England and Australia?
A little bit, yeah.
Would you, at the end of it...
Zero, didn't see a thing.
At the end of that, would you feel more optimistic or a bit more pessimistic about England's white ball side moving
Optimistic,
forward?
definite.
Yeah,
Optimistic.
I thought they played okay, actually, because Australia didn't have a great bowling lineup in some of those games. I think that's fair. But I thought Australia was fairly close to full strength. I know Pat Cummins wasn't playing and Cameron Green got injured and they rested some guys. But I thought it was more or less what Australia wants to do. They want to bat very deep now and they're trying all these all-rounders, and England made them look a bit silly, I thought, at times.
They were, to me, and following it on social media and other places, it served a purpose for both teams. They were both happy.
Yes.
There were 5 practice matches.
They really were.
But that's bilateral cricket now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's how it is. There were 5 practice matches. They used as preparation, trying things out, working things out. Australia win on Duckworth Lewis 3-2. Nobody really cares, I wouldn't have thought. Don't tell Merv Hughes that it was a moral victory. Don't mention it. He gets a bit, he goes on, he bangs on, doesn't he? Merv, and he's a great man. Thirsty, gets very thirsty, but there we are.
So you thought England came out of that
fine, okay.
Because they're 2-0 down.
Well, so who didn't? Will Jacks had a bit of a struggle, didn't he?
He had one innings of note.
That's it.
Duckett, I thought, justified his place at the top of the order.
Yeah, he's busy.
Bearing in mind Joss Butler's going to come back in.
Yeah.
It sounds like Ben Stokes is...
He's going to come back.
Change his mind about white ball cricket.
Duckett's a bit of a handful because you don't know where he's going to hit it. He's a real busy player. He's unorthodox.
Australia didn't really know where to bowl to him. So if Stark wasn't swinging it, they didn't really ever have a plan to him, which I thought. I was thinking to myself, that's not, if Australia can't work this out with some decent bowlers. Hazelwood played and Stark played, and Zampa. I wonder how other teams are going to handle Duckett. Salt couldn't play Josh Hazelwood at all. But other than that, I thought Salt looked like he was putting pressure back on everyone. And the batting
he could be a red ball player as well,
Yeah.
Salt. He's got the technique, he's got the tools.
The big problem I think they had was that they just kept finding ways to collapse England.
Yeah.
So they would completely play Australia out of the game, and then they would just, like that last game, I thought they were going to make 420.
Yeah.
There was another game too where I think Livingston got caught down. Was it the first one? So a couple of times I thought to myself, they're going okay. But remember, as we said before, I think Aaron Hardy opened the bowling for Australia. Like, Aaron Hardy's never going to open the bowling for Australia in a real game. They tried that young 𝐃𝐲𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 who struggled a little bit with, hitting the pitch at times. So it wasn't like Australia were always firing. But I thought overall I was a little bit... There were times where I thought this team could make sense, but they are still just putting the foot all the way down. And I'm not sure they're quite good enough or deep enough to do that. But the other issue is that their bowling still isn't. I mean, I don't think any international team is, any of the major teams, the top 4 teams, are going to worry about England's bowling in a World Cup semi-final or final at the moment. That, to me, has been the issue for a long time. Adil Rashid still doing a lot of heavy lifting in that side. Like someone like Bryden Cast, he'll always get you wickets, but he might go at 10 runs and over to get them.
Yeah, is he going to improve? And that's one that they'll have been looking at. Jofra Archer, they'll just look after.
Yep. When he played, he was okay.
He was fine. I mean, you want that.
The Lord's game, he was as animated and engaged as I've seen him in a long, long time.
I was listening on the radio and it sounded like he was pumping. He was really charging in.
He was.
So, there are things on both sides that they'll go away and think, that's a good exercise.
Yeah.
And rather than, you said, have you seen it? No, I've been in the car, I've been listening and so on. But I think that it's not really captured the imagination of the public that it is England, Australia. I think the public have seen that this is a bit of a practice.
When was the last time?
The crowds, though, can I say, the crowds were
fine.
Terrific.
Yeah, they were good, excellent.
When was the last time a bilateral ODI series in England captured the imagination?
I think the way that they've changed the schedule across cricket, just take England for example, you have stripped out, essentially, cricket doesn't work like any other sport, really. Okay, you've essentially got to say it's really important that England play Sri Lanka and beat them. And there might be a trophy involved. Maybe there's some World Test Championship points now. That's added relevance. But traditionally, there's no reason. It's their turn to play.
Yeah.
Right. But if you love cricket and you're invested in the game, you care. Right. But by stripping everything away and moving away from a position where you had one visitor a summer,
yes,
it was an event, and you built up throughout the summer from T20s, 3 T20s, 3 ODIs, and 5 tests, whatever. They were always mixed around a little bit. You had narrative, you had jeopardy, you had reason. Now, can you even remember who England played in white ball cricket in 2023?
Oh, crikey. No.
Right, so that is a problem, because I could ask you, who did England play in Test cricket all the way back to 1970, and we'd probably work it out.
Yeah.
Now you're in a situation where these tours are squeezed in between other tours, and there is absolutely no relevance to it whatsoever. And if you look at the summer to come, or the winter to come, a tour... So the England summer finished on the 29th of September, and on the 1st of October, England fly to Pakistan.
Yeah.
Then they go to West Indies, then they go to New Zealand, and then they go to India, and then it's Champions Trophy.
Do you remember...
No relevance whatsoever.
There's 2 really fascinating bilateral series in the last couple of years. So England win the World Cup in Australia in the T20 World Cup, and then straight away England are playing Australia.
Yeah.
A couple of days later. And that one got a little bit of press, not so much press for, we're watching cricket, but why is this existing?
Why? Yeah.
And then the one that almost got skipped was that after Australia won the World Cup in India, they played India in a bunch of games, and even Indians just went, why will we be watching this? We just watched the World Cup 2 minutes ago.
I'll tell you a relevant bilateral series that still resonates with people, and it was the one that was in 2005. Can you remember that very first? Can you remember?
Yeah.
And it was seen as the moment that England were going to stand up to the.
It was also interesting because it was
the precursor to the Ashes.
I was going to say, I think that was the difference. It came, and now you don't even have series where the same team who plays Test cricket plays it, and it's so hard to work out why. Like the Champions Trophy, I was going to say it's going to be in Pakistan. It might be in Pakistan. It's going to be in the UAE. It's going to be in Sri Lanka. It's going to be wherever, right? So why are England playing Australia in September? How is that preparing either of them for an ODI tournament that's going to be played in Asia?
It's about making money, isn't it?
That's what I mean. So it has nothing to do with that. So you're not even playing it. You're not even playing them now in the way that you would in, say, football, right? Where you have a series of friendlies, you get yourself ready for a tournament. We're not even doing that. We're just saying, what? We've got a week and a half free in September. Do you guys want to come over? And then we'll come and do a reciprocal arrangement, and you guys can tack a couple of one-days on in, I don't know, Geelong and Canberra next time we're around.
You gauge it, or I gauge it, by going into the pub that I go into the back room, which is male and female in there, and they like a drink, and there's a bit of a restaurant as well. There's not one person in the last month mentioned cricket. It's all been Leeds United, Manchester United, Arsenal, all been Premier League. Not one mention of cricket. Whereas normally, I'd get a mention because I've got in that room are Yorkshire cricket members, the members of the Yorkshire. Not once has it been mentioned.
I'm with you. Not a single person that, not a dad at pickup or, the normal sort of stuff that you go into into local, Indian store and they talk to you about the cricket. No one has mentioned this series. Like, it does not exist.
Yeah. I would go into pubs, as I do, and people would recognise me and they would say, I see England did well against Australia. Not once. Not once. It's all football. It's all football.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.